You spent the last 3 years in Nebraska, where your role included Director of High School Relations and Associate AD for Student Athlete Recruitment. What impact, if any, did those roles have on what kind of coach you can be going forward?
And you've been coaching most of your life, and then you get a chance to look at things from the administrative perspective. It's very helpful. And you see things from a different light, what other people's focus is throughout the year. In coaching, you focus on the players you have and getting the players you need, and that's it. And when you see it from the administrator's perspective, making sure we're in compliance with NCAA rules, from logistics, from all those other angles, you see it from a different perspective when you get back on the field. So it's been helpful. It's kind of given me a broader perspective to see things with blind spots sometimes that you maybe take for granted as a coach. So I think it's been very helpful.
All right, so you get out of this administrative role, now you're back as a running backs coach here. What were the circumstances that led to you connecting with Sonny Dykes or Rhett Lashley and ending up as a member of this staff?
Well, as you know, it's a small world in the coaching fraternity, and we all know similar people. And I had a chance to, recruit and compete against Sonny when he was at La Tech, and I was coaching at Oregon State, and then when he was at Cal, similar situation. And you know some similar people here and there, and you keep in touch. And then I had a chance to actually go and visit with Sonny and his staff and study them a little bit just as an administrator, and just to see how they do things. I respected what he's done. He's always been successful. And so I had a chance to meet with him personally a couple of years ago and just stayed in touch. And when I saw that he got the opportunity to be the head coach here at SMU, just took a chance to reach out and say, hey, if you're looking, I would definitely be interested. And things worked out, and here we go.
All right, you said your roles in an administrative capacity helped you see things in a different light, but what did you miss most about coaching, or what do you like best about coaching that made you eager to get back on the field with the players?
The chance to help young men reach their goals, without question, on and off the field. And so that's the part I miss, getting to know these guys, their families, their strengths and weaknesses, and then putting together a game plan to help these guys be successful for the rest of their lives. That's the part I really enjoy.
How similar is this offense to what you've coached in before, or even what you've played in, or is this all sort of new to you? Are you learning while your players learned it?
Yeah, it's different for me. I've been primarily in a pro-style offense. I've seen the other side of that because I was at Oregon as a defensive GA, so I got to see it from that perspective. But as an offensive coach, primarily I've been in a pro-style offense, so it's been fun. It's been fun learning. It's all football, but different ways of teaching, different terms, different system really is what it is. But it's been fun to see things done a different way, and so it kind of keeps you on your toes. And I've had a good time. Russ is a really good coach. He's really sharp. He knows his scheme, and so it's fun to be taught and learn the way he's done things and the way they had success in every place he's been. So I think it's a good experience. You never stop learning, and so you always want to learn, kind of broaden your horizons in the game of football. And so it's been a good experience for me.
Is there anything you take away from your experience as a defensive GA that helps you as you're teaching your running backs how to attack a defense?
I wouldn't say that. It's just like you get used to the tempo. Like Oregon was one of those teams who kind of first started doing that, and they were really good at it. And so just to see how many plays those guys could run off in a practice in a 10 to 12 minute segment was amazing. So just to get that timing down, you had to learn how to practice on the run and line up and get set and no calls and adjustments quickly. So and then when you got to the game, it was like slow, because no one really had that tempo, and so that's the goal for us to get to, good fast tempo where we're clicking on all cylinders and trying to catch people, hopefully at a disadvantage of having to line up, make a few adjustments, few substitutions, things like that may work to your advantage.
You played at TCU in college, and you come here now, you inherit a group with Xavier Jones, Braden West, Cayman Freeman. Any of them remind you of yourself at all?
No, they're better than me. I played wide receiver actually, so about 45 pounds ago, I like to tell people, but I played wide receiver, but I've had a chance to coach different positions as a coach. And so it's been fun. Actually, when I was at Oregon State, I knew of X and I knew of Braden. So it's kind of fun that we get a chance to work together. They're both good kids, really good players. And then Freeman, I had a connection with Freeman because he went to the same school as Michael James. And so Michael was the running back at Oregon. And so when I got the job, Michael reached out to me and said, hey, one of my guys is there, so I'm looking forward to it. And so these guys are fun to work with. And not just those guys, even the other guys in my room that are, you know, some guys are walk-on situations. And every single guy in my room, they come to work every day. They got great attitudes. And they all know their role and they have a place. And they're proud to be part of this team. So I've inherited a good room, a good group, and looking forward to see what these guys can do.
All right, you got a room with a lot of different kinds of guys, whether it's the scholarship guys or the walk-ons that you mentioned, and a lot of different styles too between Xavier and Cayman and the rest of them. Are you the kind of coach who would like one guy to step forward and grab that starting job and make it his own, or do you like the running back by committee approach?
Well, I think every coach wants that guy that can prove that he can do it all, the complete guy. That's, you know, what you'd love to have. But if you don't, it's okay to have a guy that's got a certain unique get to quality. Because at the running back position, it's nice to have a menu. Because there's a lot of different situations when you come to situational football. You may need a bigger back with a short yards, you know, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. It's nice when the guy can do both, and you don't have to change that up. It creates nightmares as far as matchups. You may have a quicker guy that's smaller that can do some things in space, who'll get the ball in his hand. So we've got a little bit of all those things. And so it's nice not to be limited. You know, if we want to run something as far as when the back's in the game, I don't feel like we're limited at all in what we want to be able to do.
You mentioned that you had a little bit of familiarity with Xavier Jones and Braden West, and then LaMichael reached out to you about Cayman. But how much have you watched last year's games to see how they were used and to watch them, you know, obviously get their strengths and weaknesses? And then how much are you changing what you're going to ask of them compared to what they did in years past?
There's similar systems, you know, terms change here and there and a few different, you know, philosophies. But we watched those things early when we got here. But really we were just looking forward to spring ball so we could see it for ourselves. And just to see those guys and, you know, teach the system where we're going to do it and see what they can do, see how they handle the information and things like that. So it's always good to see what they did, but, you know, that staff, they did things their way, and we're going to do things our way, and so it's a different deal, and so different time, and just kind of a new beginning, and so they've handled it well. They've come out every spring and worked hard. I think they've gotten better, and they know we have room to go, but I'm telling you, I couldn't have inherited a better situation with the guys in my room and the ability in that room, and we'll keep plugging away.
Sonny Dykes said last week that he wants to use Braden West's, or at least explore the idea of Braden West getting some reps at slot receiver. Did you ever lobby him to keep him to yourself?
He's going to touch the ball no matter what. Like, he's a special kid, special player. You know, out of high school, he was like a 10-8 and 100. He's got great, what I call one-cut ability, where some guys take 2 steps to change direction. Braden takes 1. And that's hard to defend if you're a defender over there getting ready to make a tackle and he's 1 step and going another way and you taking 2 together, you might have a disadvantage. And so we want to put him on the field and let him touch the ball as many ways as we can, because he is really, really dynamic and he's a really smart kid, and so he can do a lot of different things.
Running backs are often, if not the best athletes on the team, among the best athletes on the team, and therefore sometimes get used as kick returners, punt returners. Do you have any hesitation about letting your guys go out on special teams and take some of those hits with guys coming full speed all the way downfield, or do you embrace that as part of their role?
Yeah, in our room, traditionally, I've kind of taken pride in my guys being a part of every special team unit that we can. Like, there's only one football, and so only one guy's going to get to touch it, you know, at a time. So at our position, you got to be unselfish. And we all want to do our part, whether it's punt return, kickoff return, it doesn't matter. The running back position, you got some versatile athletes in there that can do different things. And so to not have them a part of special teams would not be fair to our team. And so those guys need to earn, I call it earning your keep. And if you're on this team, you got to find some work. And so we have no reason not to be a part of those units and to try to help our team win games.
Anytime a new coaching staff takes over, obviously you're all sort of feeling your way along, and different groups will develop at different speeds. But when you look at this offense, and 64% of last year's receptions walk out the door in Trey Quinn and Cortland Sutton, is there a little more on you and your guys in your room to produce early as the passing game gets sorted out and comfortable?
No, we don't look at it that way. We look at who's in the room and who can do what, and once you make those assessments, we try to put those guys in a situation to go play football and win us games. Like last year. If we'd have been here that last year, we'd be in the same situation. So you can't always look back that way. You just got to look forward to what you have, assess the talent, what you got, develop it, keep coaching, and then that's where recruiting also comes in. So you're always going to try to get more to the group, and it just keeps going. So whenever left, those guys are really good players. You know, they're big shoes to fill, but we'll see what we got after the spring and get ready for fall camp, and it'll be a new season.
Got to ask you the same question I asked Jamal Powell. As a TCU grad, your first home game will be against your alma mater. Have you allowed yourself to think what your emotions and thoughts will be like that day going against the school where you graduated?
No, I'm kind of like one of the older guys. I'm like the old guy on the staff other than Coach Jordan and maybe one other guy. So I don't get too emotional about those things. Like my focus is getting us ready to beat, our first game is North Texas. And so that's, getting us in that situation. It's the next game. And so I won't get caught up in the hype of all those things. We want to win every game if we can. But so just to look down past one that'd be a mistake on my part. So.